Hello everyone, how are you doing today? I have a quick video for today following up on my last video on PhotoMaker, where I showed you PhotoMaker by 000, which was an unofficial implementation of PhotoMaker for ComfyUI. In today's video, I'm going to talk about ComfyUI-PhotoMaker by Shiimizu, and this one, it's the official implementation of PhotoMaker inside of ComfyUI. It uses the ComfyUI way of doing things. Basically, it has efficient memory, it's fast, and it's claiming that it will not break when there is a ComfyUI update. So the project came out about 5 days ago from the time of recording this video, and there are quite a few updates happening. In fact, this is my second time recording this video. I recorded the video on Sunday. I was editing it yesterday. When I checked the GitHub repository, I found that there is a new node which basically breaks the previous version. So I'm re-recording this one, and I will show you how you can install it, how you can avoid conflict in the name. Because if we go all the way to the top for the Shiimizu version, we can see that the name is ComfyUI-PhotoMaker. And if I check for the 000 implementation, the name is exactly the same, ComfyUI-PhotoMaker. Now, in the previous video, the one exploring the new PhotoMaker project, in the comment section, a lot of you got the out of memory error. Hopefully, when you try out the Shiimizu version, since it is memory efficient, the issue may be solved. Now, I would like to give a shout out to Timor78, who was able to solve the out of memory issue by going into the Nvidia control panel, manage 3D settings, and making sure that the CUDA system fallback is prefer system fallback. I'm going to show you this really quickly before we get started. So go into your taskbar at the bottom, or wherever your taskbar is, then click on the little icon that says Show Hidden Icons. This will open your three icons, and then find the NVIDIA settings, right-click on NVIDIA settings, and then click on NVIDIA Control Panel. Alternatively, you can go into the Start menu, and at the top where it says Search, you can type NVIDIA Control Panel. Click on it to open it. It may ask you for administrator rights. Click on OK if you get that pop-up. Then on the left side, click on Manage 3D Settings. And then from the settings list, scroll down until you see CUDA System Memory Fallback Policy. And then for me, driver default works because by default, my GPU is going to fall back to system memory if I do not have enough VRAM. But for those of you who are having this out of memory issue, try this out. Click on the driver default or whatever options is there, and then select prefer system memory fallback. And then at the bottom, you can see a little bit what it's going to do. So it's telling us that CUDA may allow allocation made in GPU memory to fall back to system memory RAM, and you can see the rest. And then once you make change, so once you make this change, give it a few seconds, and then on the bottom right side, you will see an apply button. Click on the apply button, and then you can close out of this window. And then finally, you can open up ComfyUI and try again. However, with this implementation of ComfyUI, the Shiimizu implementation, it's using the ComfyUI way, so it's supposed to have efficient model loading, and the entire implementation is supposed to be efficient. From my testing, I was able to get around 3 minutes of rendering time using the Shiimizu implementation. And if you've watched my previous video, you will know that using the 000 implementation, I was getting 15 minutes for one image to render. Okay, let's get started. So for those of you who have the ComfyUI Manager already installed, if I go into the GitHub repository for ComfyUI Manager and I search the custom node PhotoMaker, you can see that the custom node PhotoMaker by Shiimizu has already been added to the ComfyUI Manager. If when you're searching in ComfyUI Manager, you do not get that option when you search for PhotoMaker. Please make sure to update your ComfyUI first. So start up ComfyUI as usual by running the run Nvidia _ GPU or run Nvidia CPU. And if you're using a different operating system, you may have to do Python, go into ComfyUI, and then main.py, and then you will have your arguments as you would usually do. Okay, so ComfyUI, open up. I already have a workflow here. Let me clear the workflow so that you do not get any confusion. Then on the right side, click on the manager option. And the first thing that you want to do is to update all. This will update your ComfyUI as well as the ComfyUI Manager. Then you may have to restart your ComfyUI, do so, and then go back into Manager, install custom node. In the search bar at the top right, type in PhotoMaker, click on search, and then you will get the ComfyUI-PhotoMaker implementation by Shiimizu. Then all you have to do is to click on install button. However, if you already have the previous implementation of PhotoMaker, so you may get an error when you install it using the ComfyUI Manager. And this is because both projects is using the same name, ComfyUI-PhotoMaker. When ComfyUI Manager is looking at your ComfyUI custom node folder, it will see that there's already a folder named as ComfyUI-PhotoMaker, and it will give you that error. So in that case, if you are not able to successfully install PhotoMaker, the Shiimizu version using the ComfyUI Manager, close out of the manager, close out of this dialog box. You can exit out of the web UI, go into your custom node folder, and then at the top, click on the address bar and type in CMD, press enter. This will open the terminal directly inside your custom node folder. Next, go to the ComfyUI-PhotoMaker GitHub repository by Shiimizu. I will have a link in the description below. And instead of clicking on the code here and then copying the GitHub repository link, go down and copy this line where it says git clone, the GitHub repository link, and then we have a name at the end. So what's going to happen is that we are going to clone the repository, but it's going to be saved inside this SMZ folder name. To copy this line, you can highlight it. So click and drag, press Ctrl+C on your keyboard to copy. You can also right click and copy. Then go into the terminal and you can press Ctrl+V to paste. If when you are pressing Ctrl+V, you get an error, it doesn't paste, you do not see the text as it's showing here. In that case, you may have to right click at the top where it says your path or the name. Usually it's under CMD when you're using the old CMD. Then you may have to right click and then you will get an option to paste from there. Another way to paste in case you're having difficulty is to press the Ctrl, Shift and V together in order to paste. Once you have the line there, press enter and it will start the cloning. You can close out of the terminal, go back into your file explorer, and as I mentioned, it will be under the name ComfyUI-PhotoMaker-SMZ. Then go into your ComfyUI Windows Portable where you have your run Nvidia GPU, double click it to open, or you can do Python and then the command. So once it's loaded and you have the ComfyUI web interface, right click, click on add node, and you should have PhotoMaker there. Now make sure that you're able to load all three of them. You can simply take them and open them. If when you're trying to add any of these nodes, you get a red node inset, it means that something went wrong and it's not able to load the node. So uninstall the node by simply going into your file explorer, ComfyUI, and go into custom nodes, click on the file, press delete on your keyboard to delete the project, and then redo the step to git clone it. Now there's one more node that was added, and this one is under the IPAdapter category. So IPAdapter, and we have the prepare image for ClickVision. if you already have IPAdapter, the original project, you may have prepare image for clip vision node, but this one is prepare image for clip vision from path. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you can use these nodes to make a workflow, and then I will link to some workflows in the description below, as well as a couple of test images I've done in PhotoMaker. For me, in terms of speed, the Shiimizu one is better, about 3 minutes to generate one image compared to 15 minutes for one image. Let me clear the canvas and let me load the default workflow. If you do not have the default workflow, or you've changed your default workflow by a custom node, you can pause the video and try to recreate it, or you can just wait a little bit until I complete the entire workflow. Then you can go ahead and generate it. Alternatively, you can go into the description and download the workflow from there. Now, this one, because it is using the ComfyUI way, you can use the traditional load checkpoint to load your SDXL model. You do not require a diffuser format model in order to use PhotoMaker. Second, we have the clip text encode for positive and then one for negative. These two will be here, but the text I will have to use the add node PhotoMaker, and then we'll use the PhotoMaker encode. This is the one that is going to encode the positive prompt and send it into the conditioning. So we are going to remove this positive prompt one, replace it with PhotoMaker encode. The clip will go into the clip. The PhotoMaker one will require add node PhotoMaker, load PhotoMaker, and this PhotoMaker will go into the PhotoMaker for the encode node. The image, we'll take the image, drag out and select load image. This one, it's okay if your image is already prepared. If your image is not prepared, you can take the load image output, drag out, click on search and do crop, image crop, and then you can take the output of the image crop into the PhotoMaker encode. Now, of course, if you want to see a preview, you can do a preview image there. That's fine. Now, this image crop node is the default one that comes with ComfyUI, so all of you should have it. If you install custom node and you have a better one, then use that one. Now, if you want to load multiple images, then traditionally what we have to do is take these two, copy. So I'm going to select these two by pressing Control, clicking on load image and then clicking on image crop. This is going to select both. Then press Control C to copy, and to paste, I'm going to press Control Shift and V to have those two links together. Now I need a way to combine these two images into one because I have only one input for the image. So for that, I'm going to take this image out, click on search, and then choose image batch. Okay, this gives me two images that I can combine into one image. So I can take these two. Okay, so I have these two images here. It goes into the image crop and then into the batch images, and then this image can go here in order to have multiple images. However, since we have this new node, add node under IPAdapter, prepare images or clip vision from path, you can take the image output from this into the image input from the encode node, and then the path, you can go into your file explorer. Let's say right now I'm under custom node. I'm going to go into the ComfyUI-PhotoMaker. I will create a new folder. You can create a new folder by right-clicking on an empty space, click on new folder, and then I'm going to say photos, go into it. Then at the top, I'm going to click where I have the address bar. This will give me the path and it will auto-select it. If it did not auto-select, it is like this for you. You can press Ctrl A to highlight everything, then press Ctrl C to copy. Go back into ComfyUI, and then you can paste the link by pressing Ctrl V into the path field. And this one you can choose to crop all the images from top, bottom, left, right, center, or by padding. Now, of course, when your images, wherever you got them, let's say you got them from a smartphone, you've taken some selfies, so you can just copy all of your images into this folder, or you can go online, download a couple of images, and then save them in this folder. Now, you do not have to use a photos folder. You can have your images anywhere on your disk, but you need to have the path to those folders, and make sure images are for that same character, the same person, and the face is the main focus on those images. That is why we have the crop here. We are cropping the image so that the face is the main focus. Now, regardless of which one you use, whether you use the path one or the different load image and then go into batch images, the image output will have to go into the PhotoMaker encode node. The trigger word img, it's very important. PhotoMaker works when you have a class word. The class word can be woman or man, and then just next to it, you need to have img as the trigger word. If you do not have img, it will actually give you an error when you try to run and queue a prompt. Now, this conditioning, it goes into the positive input of a key sampler. It can be a traditional simple key sampler, or you can also have the advanced key sampler. The conditioning goes into the positive and it works exactly the same as you're used to. The only step is that instead of using a clip text encode as your positive prompt, you are loading the PhotoMaker model, sending it into the PhotoMaker encode node by also passing the clip and images, and then sending that conditioning over to the key sampler. Now we have one more node. By going to add node, PhotoMaker, apply PhotoMaker. And this one works slightly different compared to what we have. So it tells us that we have a positive input, a negative input, and then a style input. And then this node is going to output positive and negative. Now, at first glance, you may be thinking that you just have your regular text string here, pass it to positive, and then you take the positive over to the key sampler, but that is not correct. This positive that we have here, it's actually a text and it's not a conditioning. In order to pass it over to the key sampler, we need a conditioning, which we can then pass over to the key sampler. But this positive, it's a string encode, or you can also say text. So what we need to do is, let me make some space. I'm going to take the prep image a little bit on the left. The preview image can be here. I'm going to move this load PhotoMaker over there. Now, as you can see, it's telling me undefined. I'm going to show you where you can download the model. Now, this PhotoMaker, it has a text field for the positive prompt. I'm going to right click on it and then convert the text into input. So now this text is going to receive the positive prompt. I'm going to do the same thing for the negative clip text encode. Right click on it, convert text to input, and the negative is going to go into the negative clip text encode. Okay, so let me make some space so that you can see exactly what is happening. All right, so we have the PhotoMaker encode. It is taking the positive from this apply PhotoMaker style, and then the negative clip text encode is taking the negative output from the style node. So if you want to use that style, then you will have to do it from this way. Now, in order to type in the text, you will need a text field. So we can take the positive, drag out, click on the search, and then where it says string, click on it, click on the top one. It should be blank, but you should be able to select it. And then at the top, most of you will have primitive node at the top, but if in case you have a lot of custom node, you cannot find it, just simply type in primitive and you should be able to search for it. This will give you a string field where you can type in your positive prompt, and then you'll need a second one, send that over to negative. So you can do the same, you can copy, paste, or you can press Alt, select it, and drag out to get a copy. Whichever method you want, this is going to be your positive and this is going to be your negative. It will go through the apply PhotoMaker style and then go into the PhotoMaker encode. But in case you do not want to use these three nodes, you can use the traditional clip text encode for your negative node and you can use the text field inside the PhotoMaker encode as your positive field. And then from here on, everything else is exactly the same. So if after this, you go into an advanced case sampler, and then you return some noise, and then maybe go into a second advanced one, you can continue doing the same. If you were using traditional IP adapters, the original one from the IPAdapter Plus group of custom node, you can actually use those. I do not have it installed on this one because this is a fresh install. But if you have that, you can load it. And since this version is using the ComfyUI way, you can pretty much have this section into its own group. So you can have all of these into a group, and then anything else is whatever your imagination gives you. So if you want to go into IPAdapter, into a LoRa, into advanced case sampler, if you want to do upscale, you can go ahead and do all of that. I'm going to link to a post where I show all the different images. I have some here, so we can take a look. I ran those earlier. Let me zoom in a little bit. And the first one, I only said a photo of a woman, IMJ. Now, and no style. So if I go back into the workflow, the way I did it in the positive prompt, I did a photo of a woman, IMG, like this. And this goes into the apply PhotoMaker style. In the drop down, I've selected new style, and then the rest is pretty much the same. And as you can see, this is my input image, and these two are the outputs. It's close. It was able to get some of the features like the hair, the skin tone, but the face, I'm not sure if it is exactly the same. I ran a second test, and this was the result. It's not bad, but the hair is not exactly the same. Now, a third one I wanted to try, I just passed in a photo of a landscape, and it just gave me a random man image. So like I mentioned in my last video, this PhotoMaker node is not good at grabbing the style and then transferring the style over. It's just for identifying the different features of the face and then passing that over as a conditioning over to your case sampler. Now, the difference with IPAdapters is that IPAdapter is going to add more information into the model. In this case, we are adding more information into the conditioning and sending that over to positive and negative. Okay, so lastly, let me show you where you can download the Load PhotoMaker model. So go back into the GitHub repository from Shiimizu and scroll a little bit down until you see installation. And it will tell you to download the model from Hugging Face and place it into PhotoMaker folder in your models. So click on the link. It will send you to Tencent Art PhotoMaker project. This is the original project. Then click on Files and Version. And the one that you want to download is the PhotoMaker-v1.bin. If in the future there is a new version, let's say there's a V2, then you can try both and download those. To download it, you can click on the name and then click on download here, or you can click on this little icon to download, start the download. Next, go inside your ComfyUI folder, click on ComfyUI, go into models, and then I've already created a folder named PhotoMaker, but in your case, you may not have this folder called PhotoMaker. Then click on add new at the top folder, and then rename the folder as PhotoMaker, all lowercase. Go into the PhotoMaker folder that you've just created, and then wherever you've downloaded the model, copy it and paste it inside this folder. Go back into ComfyUI, press on refresh, and it should load up right here. Next, you want to make sure that your load checkpoint, you have checkpoint that are SDXL version. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's a base model, realistic vision, SDXL, all of those are okay, and you can try them. It will give you different styles. Some will be realistic, some will be anime-like, but the main thing is that PhotoMaker is not compatible with SD 1.5 models. It is only for SDXL version. So that is it. Hopefully you were able to get this version working.
Let me know in the comments what are the results that you got when you use this version compared to your previous version. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day ahead. I will see you in the next one.